Good morning, love bugs. All right. Today, our learning target is I can identify details that support the theme of a story, and I can identify how additional story elements support that theme. So, today we have a nonfiction passage, and it is called My Journey to America. And as you can see, the format starts a little bit differently here. We have some basic background knowledge with some dot points to kind of set up our story and give us a little historical setting here. So basic background. Kosovo is a region in southeastern Europe. Ethnic Albanians are the largest group of people in Kosovo. The word ethnic means of similar race and culture. NATO is a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO soldiers are often sent to countries to help out. Hello, my name is Asu Ajete. I was born in Stim, Kosovo, September 1988. I'm an ethnic Albanian. When I was 2 years old, my family moved to Germany. My two sisters, Sirksane and Arita, were born here. 7 years later, we returned to Stim and built a beautiful two-story house. My uncle and aunt live in the house next to ours. They have three daughters, Remzi, Mahinda, and Nazalia, all younger than I am. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. I never went to school in Kosovo. I was too young at first, and then later it was too dangerous. My country was at war. One day in April 1999, we looked outside and saw houses on fire. Go, go! Someone ran down the street shouting, the enemy is coming! Right away, our two families fled for Stein. For 2 hours, we fled from Stein, excuse me. For 2 hours, we journeyed toward Vojnik, a country town. Like us, hundreds of people filled the roads, trying to escape. In Vojnik, a family let us stay with them. More than 35 people crowded together in their small house. We shared whatever food was there. After 2 weeks, we headed toward Ferizaj, my mother's hometown. So this is where mom is from. Warplanes flew overhead. They were shooting on the ground. 6 hours later, we reached Ferizaj. All of our relatives, except one, were gone. Ferizaj has a train station. We went to take a train to leave Kosovo. But with so many people, the doors of the train were blocked. Someone opened a window. My father put me in first. Then I pulled the other 5 children, beginning with my 5-month-old cousin. Finally, the 4 grown-ups crawled through the small space. It was very hot on the train. We were packed like sardines. We could hardly breathe. Hungry, tired, and dirty, children were crying. Riding for 3 hours, we got to the border of Macedonia, but the Serbian police stopped us. You cannot get off the train, they said. Go back. We did. The next day, we tried again. This time, the border opened to us, but the Serbian soldiers commanded, stay right on the railroad tracks. If you go to the right or left, we will kill you. So we walked, 2 by 2, inside the tracks, right into Macedonia. What a difference it was for us there. NATO soldiers welcomed us and fed us. They gave us blankets and even diapers for my two little cousins. So remember, NATO, they defined that for us right at the beginning, before the story even started. Camp workers brought us to a small tent. It was very low. The grown-ups could not stand straight in it. It rained outside. My father and my uncle took off their jackets and put them under us. We were cold because we didn't have enough blankets, but at least we were together. Each morning we waited in line for food, sometimes until 1 p.m. The camp was dirty. We missed the bathrooms we had in our new homes each time. My father was in charge of both families. In one of the tents was a big board. Every night we checked it for his name and our camp number. He would tell us where we would be sent. Finally, my mother's mother and uncle left for Germany. We wanted to go with them, but we were separated. After 5 weeks in Macedonia, the rest of us flew to New Jersey in the United States. American soldiers brought us to Fort Dix, where our Christian sponsors were waiting. Soon, a lady named Debbie and an Armenian man named Steve arrived. They brought flowers for my mother and my aunt. They were so nice. It didn't matter to them that we were Muslims. Our sponsors found us 2 apartments next to each other. They helped us get groceries, clothes, furniture, medicine, and jobs. In June, a newspaper reported our story. A retired teacher read it and offered to teach English to me and my 2 older cousins to prepare us for school. All summer we sat outside and learned and learn the alphabet, numbers, colors, and telling time. We love our very first American teacher. In the fall, we started school. At first, everything was strange, but our teacher and classmates were wonderful. They helped us learn English quickly. Now America is our new home. Okay, so now we have our comprehension questions. So we're going to preview them, and then I'm going to put up the slides so you can take your time to close read. Okay, so what was the theme of the passage? Again, that's our big learning target for today. So now number 2, what was the last line? Why is the last line of the passage, now America is our new home, significant? And how does it support the theme? So there's 2 parts here, okay? So you have to identify how it is significant. And again, significance means importance, right? And then how does it support the theme? So you have to identify those 2 parts and then along with 2 details. So what point of view is the story told in, and how does this affect the story? So if it were me for your next read, I would put those little key words, those identifiers to help you understand and look for certain words to help. Is this first person? Is this third person? And again, how does it affect the story? So how does it matter to the reader about how it's being told? What is the author's purpose, right? Think pie. What traits or qualities can be used to describe Isu? And then what human rights are violated in the passage? Watch the human rights video on the YouTube channel under this lesson if you need a reference. So what I'm going to do is right now, before you even do your second read, I'm going to stream the video. So look for that shortly. And then I want you to do your close read. Pause the video, do your close read, and then we're going to go over questions. All right, ladies, so now it's time to pause the video and close read. So you need to make sure that you're chunking your text. Again, whatever makes sense to you. You're circling and attempting to define unknown words. You're underlining key information. Remember to focus on information that would help to support your answers because you've already previewed your questions. You're summarizing the margin and you're identifying any elements that may be helpful. So again, today we have kind of some additional story elements questions. We have author's purpose, we have theme, we have different lines supporting the theme, we have point of view. So anything that can help you, any marks that you can make as you go, any keywords that you can focus on would be helpful in answering your questions. So it's time to pause the video and do your close read. All right, ladies, so now that you finished your close read, I'm going to show you my notes that I did during my close read so you can compare and, oops, there we go. And then we can also kind of look at some questions. So again, your notes don't have to match mine completely, but they should be kind of similar. You should be pulling out some of the key information that I'm identifying. So even here right up at the learning target, I just have my little notes for theme, the message of the story. This is universal. Please don't get it confused with main idea. So the way that I chunked, I did two big chunks for the first page. I said it was interesting here because I circled the word ethnic, but above here in this dot point, it defined it for us. So do you see how here I just have the arrow, and then I identified the largest group of people here in Kosovo. And my summary notes for the margin for my first chunk are: this is the start of Isu's life. He moved to Germany and then he moved back. And remember, this here is like this positive time here. We returned to Stein. We built this beautiful two-story house. But that was very much short-lived. So then for my second chunk, the very first line of the second chunk is obviously super important because it states, I never went to school in Kosovo. And that should stick out to you as a major red flag, especially if we're thinking about human rights. Then the next line as well, it says, I was too young at first, and then later it was too dangerous, and that reason was because the country was at war. So then what they're doing here, Isu and his family, is they're fleeing. Okay, so they go to Vojnik, and then they fled further. As you can see here, I said no school, Kosovo is at war, and the family is on the move. And again, so the next location that they go to, again, it's still unsafe, still this war zone here. Okay, so now for my next page, I have three chunks here. Packed in like sardines. If you don't understand what that phrase means, it's those small fish in a can. It means that if they were just very packed tight together. And I thought that this was interesting because this gave me kind of an Esperanza connection when they're talking about the conditions on the train and the way that they're being treated by the officials. I'm not sure if you had that same, but that's why I made that little mark here. And then the family was finally, they were able to walk to Macedonia. And this Serbian soldiers were not very nice to him, but then the NATO soldiers were. They were welcomed. They gave us blankets and diapers, even for the cousins. Then they brought them to the camp to await kind of their placement. And again, these conditions were very poor as well. So again, this kind of reminded me of Esperanza, and I'm not sure if it did with you as well, but eventually the family gets to New Jersey in the United States. They are separated from some of their extended family, which is a little unfortunate, but again, they are all safe here. And then they talk about they get to the US, they're learning English, a retired teacher, and I gave that little definition here. Heard their story in the newspaper, someone reported about it, and offered to teach them English to get them ready for school. So that was awesome. So they kind of went through, and as you can see now here, this just finishes up. They're very happy with the decision. And again, now America's our new home. We have that big important line that we're going to revisit in just a moment. So as you can see from my notes here for point of view, I have those keywords. I, me, my, we, our, and they're not in quotes. And then for my keywords for third person point of view is that narrator is not in the story. And the names are listed and they're using he and she. So also, before we get, because our point of view question doesn't come till number 3, but if we take a look here, I have some possible themes: positive outcomes from negative situations, perseverance, and helping others. And I know Miss Agenko is always telling us don't use the perseverance one, but I think that this one is just too strong with perseverance. So for number 1, that was what I chose. So the theme of the passage is perseverance because Isu and his family fought through difficulties and had to overcome many challenges. The text states that Isu's family fled Kosovo because of war. Before settling in New Jersey, they had poor living conditions and traveled on a cramped, dirty train. So as you can see here too, just kind of to talk about the structure, I do have wrap here, but I also paraphrase my details. And again, remember, when you're identifying the theme of the passage in your inference sentence, you need to give a little explanation to why. This is where your little rationale comes in. You have to finish up your inference. You can't just identify the theme. Okay, and then you need those 2 additional details. And again, you can pull them directly from the text if you want to set them up with quotation marks, or you can paraphrase just like I did here. Or you can do a combination of the 2, which is what I usually do too. So, number 2, the last line of the passage, now America is our new home. Why is it significant and how does it support the theme? So, I said the line, now America is our new home, is significant because Isu and his family are finally now safe, and the theme is supported because they had to go through many challenges to get there. With the help of others and the difficult circumstances in their home country, they were able to persevere and start a new life. Number 3, point of view, big question here. What point of view is the story told in, and how does it affect the story? So you need to make sure that you're answering both parts of this prompt here. And I said the story is told in first person, and this allows for a very personal connection to the main character, Isu, because we are able to step into his shoes. So here, as you can see, I'm not looking for clue words. Here, I just want you to identify, and then we're taking it that one step further. But to add on to this question, I knew it was because he literally starts and says, "Hi, my name is," right? So one right off the bat, 100%, it is first person. By learning this story from his perspective, the reader is able to understand his struggles through his eyes. It makes it more personal and a more sincere impact on the reader. Okay, so again, there's those 2 details to answer those 2 parts of the prompt. You do not need 4, you only need 2. So what I did here for number 4, author's purpose, I did PIE, persuade, inform, entertain. I put them up at the top so I could just choose from them. And after I read my answer, I want to go over something because I feel like another one may work. So I said the author's purpose is to inform the reader about the challenges of a family during a war. We learned that in 1999, Kosovo was at war and that the people had to flee. We learn about NATO and how these soldiers helped during this time of need. So inform, definitely, right? This is a true story. This is something that really happened. And I know that we're talking about some fictional elements about point of view and theme, but this is a nonfiction story. So definitely nothing about persuading. I don't think that this is not an informational piece. I chose inform, but this entertain aspect might be not like entertain like haha funny, but entertain that it is intriguing to learn about. And it's a story of overcoming. It's a story of family. So that entertainment piece, I could be argued that the purpose is entertain, but I just think inform is stronger. So number 5, what traits or qualities can be used to describe Isu? I said the traits that could be used to describe Isu are brave and resilient. Isu is brave because he left his country and went to a new one where he didn't even know the language. And he is resilient because he had to endure many challenges to get there. Number 6, I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been a while since we watched it. So again, you can revisit it as many times as you need during this lesson. And there was a bunch that you could have chose, but I just chose one here, and you only needed to choose one. So the major right violated here is the right to seek a safe place to live. Isu and his family had to flee their home because of the dangerous conditions of war. This family, along with many others, had to leave for different countries to stay safe. Houses were set to fire, and there was shooting on the grounds. So I want 2 details for each right. So if you are identifying a bunch of these different rights, make sure that you're supporting each of them because they need to be able to make sense and support the right that you are talking about. So I really only need 1, but if you do 2, I need to make sure that you have 2 details for each. All right, thank you, ladies.